Okay, so here are the three rulers that we had from our POGIL assignment again, and let's just review why we put in the number of numbers we can. With ruler A, we have only 0 and 10 marked, so you should be able to estimate where 5 is. Think just a little bit past will be 1, almost to 10 is number 9. Okay, so there's a lot of uncertainty, so every measurement that is taken correctly has some uncertainty to it. And in this case, this is totally a case where you are just using your resources you have to guess where that will be. Okay, in ruler B, we are certain of the whole numbers. So we have to estimate one more spot in order to say about where it is. So if it's just over the line, you're going to put maybe 0.1 or 0.2. If it's almost there, it's 0.9. Okay, so the biggest mistake I saw in the quiz was people forgetting to put 0.0 on something. So if I am exactly right here, I need to write 5.0. If I'm exactly here, 9.0. Okay, but if I am in between somewhere, so for example, if I'm perfectly halfway here, this would be 6.5. So if your ruler has a whole number, plus it has space in between those where you can estimate, we can go from there. Now ruler C, we are certain of the whole number, we are certain of the little hash line that's on there, or tick marks, some of you call them, on there, and then we can go one step further and say if it's about halfway in between, then we'll add a 0.5 at the end, so it'll be like 0.25. If it's exactly on the line, you need to include a 0 on here. So if I was exactly here, let's say on the 9 line, right at this spot, I would need to say 9.00. So any ruler like C that has the tenths needs to also have another spot on there because you're certain of that. Okay, and again, if you're still on the line, it needs to be 0, so if it might be like 0.50 or 0.80, something like that. Okay, so sometimes we get the opposite, and they want you to say what ruler was used. So if I have a number like this is saying the 5 was marked, which is the large amounts. This is saying that the 7 is marked, which those are the small marks. And remember, we always estimate one spot. Okay, so the only ruler that we could use in this one is C. So say I just had a number like 8, whole number, totally estimated, that would be ruler A. And if I have a number that has just one decimal, like 8.2, tells me I'm just past the 8 mark, that will have to be ruler B. Okay, so one of your questions asks how much do you estimate on there? You estimate one spot. Now usually, like the POGIL said, it's on the end, but it isn't always. Like sometimes, like if this was from 0 to 100, we could estimate that this, might be 60 to the nearest 10. Okay, so sometimes we'll learn that zeros make it a little trickier when talking about your estimation. Okay, so in order to redo your assessment on here, I want you to tell me what you would mark each of these that I'm going to show you here. Okay, so if you want to reassess, you need to answer these 4 problems. Just write down the answers to them. Okay, so number 1, I want you to read that ruler. Again, these marks are whole numbers. Number 2 has a ruler that goes by 10, so think about how you're going to read that. Number 3, that is exactly on that line it is pointing to. Now be careful on this one. A lot of people missed a similar one on the quiz. Number 4, I want you to draw what a beaker would look like that is correctly read 80 milliliters. So think about where the estimating there is, how that would have to be marked. There are a couple possibilities there, but I don't just want to see an 80 line marked because that would be incorrect.